welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So, for those of you who are just meeting you, which, the firecracker that you are, I'm so excited to share you with everybody. Can you just share a little bit about what led you to become a trauma and attachment coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Amanda Towns. I'm ever evolving, but I'm currently calling myself a relationship coach and essentially a trauma expert, because I think a lot of that goes hand in hand. I had a little bit of a tumultuous upbringing. My mother had a lot of narcissistic tendencies growing up, pretty severe. And I that's what made me want to do psychology, and pursue that. So I got my bachelor's and master's planning on becoming a therapist. And then after I started that route, I got my master's degree and actually started therapy on my therapy.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. Like, I think I want more freedom than this. I don't want to be told what to say, what I can do, what I can charge, how much I can show up for people. I remember one time my therapist, I called him like something really bad is happening. Can I get an emergency session? He said, sure, I can get you in 2 weeks from Tuesday. And I was like, what? I was like, I never want to do this to my people. So I became a coach. Here I am.
That's amazing. So how did your upbringing shape how you relate to others?
Oh, good.
And their trauma, right?
What a can of worms, like
exactly.
Oh, and it shaped it so much more than I initially realized how much it was shaping it.
Yeah.
As an attachment specialist here, and probably more, I'm not sure if everyone who's going to be listening is familiar with the terms, but of the 3 insecure attachment styles, we have anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And your girl was definitely heavily, like, in most situations, because I don't think any of us are one,
right.
We kind of toggle in and out. But in most situations, I was the disorganized, which is the push-pull dynamic of come close, no, go away. I love you, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it was because I simultaneously wanted the love and feared it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't actually see that. I didn't know that I feared it, like, consciously. And so every time somebody would get close and actually truly love me, I'd be like, ew.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah, there must be something wrong with you. If you love me like that, you're messed up.
Exactly. And like finding that thing that's messed up. Oh, you know what? I could never be with you because, you don't squeeze a toothpaste right. And like any little thing that you could do to blow it up to make sure like, oh, you must leave. I can't, this will never work.
I can turn the tiniest thing into the reason to break up for sure.
Yeah.
And so I've had to do some really deep work to overcome that. And I realized as I was doing the work that I couldn't really find like what I needed in one spot. I couldn't find someone who could hold all of what I needed. And guide me through all of what I needed to go through. And so I did it myself and I mapped it, and I'm now doing it with my clients and just living my best life.
That is amazing. Okay, so I think that there's definitely something to be said about somebody who's gone through it, right? Like, you've gone through it, done it, and so if you can help someone else as they're going through, it's like, you know what, I know this is hard. Yes. I know that, it takes time, like, and really mean it. Like, you really do know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it on a cellular level. Like, I know the seventh circle of hell that most of these people are in their own minds, like
exactly
this constant inner battle. A lot, I used to call it like my heart and my head are always at odds, but really it was my brain and my brain, like it was just,
so true. There's been so much great research done about the effects of trauma on your brain, and like so much more than we ever knew before.
Absolutely. And I want to I want to be someone who's like a trailblazer. I don't just want to be someone that like I've gathered this from all the books and now I can present it to you. No, I want to write my own.
Love it.
Like I want to experiment, and like I kind of see a lot of this as an adventure and like treasure hunting and puzzle solving, and like it's so complex but so rewarding. So rewarding.
Absolutely. So, what does that look like as you're blazing new trails with the clients that you work with?
So I tell them up front, this is going to be trial and error on a lot of things. And really because while I have a great map and like the pillars are really important and all that stuff, what's really important is finding what works for each person, because we are all complex humans. None of us are going to fit in a box. In fact, I just posted in the last couple days, like, I don't think all of my people resonate with like one certain attachment style or a certain diagnosis or a certain even history. But I think what we all do resonate with is we're just fucked up bitches.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I posted a couple days ago. I think I'm going to start calling myself the fucked up bitch whisperer.
True. Well, I think that, and in fact, I just mentioned this in the podcast that's coming out this week is, we are not like a car, right? Where you just go, okay, well, let me replace the spark plugs. Let me pull those out, replace them, boop, good as gold, right? There are diagnoses and there's all kinds of different things, but for the most part, because of our experience, because of our personality, because of, our brain type, because of our physiology, like because of so many different things, there is not a mold. There's not a mental health mold that looks like, okay, this is who you are. Yep. Check, right?
Right. Yes.
So can you describe though the attachment styles? You've labeled it, but what are they?
Absolutely. Okay, so the anxious attachment style, and this is also one that, like, in different phases of my life, I leaned more anxious than avoidant when it came to romantic relationships. Anxious is like the clingy, needy, and I don't say that with judgment, because when I say that was heavily me, I still have to fight those clingy urges of like, did I say something wrong? Are you mad at me?
Yeah.
Like, don't leave. We have to talk this through right now, even in the heat of the moment. No, you can't leave. Like, we got to talk about it now. Like, hold me.
Right, exactly.
And the avoidant is usually on the other side, going, I need some space. Oh my God, I can't even think. Like, if you want me to have a calm discussion, I need to go recoup somewhere, because I can't right now.
Yep.
And so that's the anxious and avoidant tend to find each other a lot. If you're kind of stuck in one of those patterns, you tend to find the opposite. Now, if you're disorganized mostly, and again, like I said, we don't try to identify with one, but if you mainly deal with the push-pull dynamic of like, I really want them close, but when they do get close, I freak out and I might sabotage it, then you're likely going to find another person who's in that pattern with the push-pull. And so you end up push-pull each other.
Yeah. Which makes for chaos.
Chaos, and sometimes a lot of chemistry, but a lot of chaos.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, probably. That's true.
Like, so let's be honest. We're in that relationship for a reason. We're enjoying some of that,
Probably true.
Yeah.
So how do you help somebody find which they resonate the most with?
So people tend to identify strongly with at least one of them pretty quickly. Like, I really just have to describe it just like I did. And they're just like, oh, yeah, that one's, like, that one's been me the last few years. Like, maybe as a child I was more this, or maybe like with my business I'm more avoidant, and with my romantic relationships I'm more clingy, or like, maybe with friendships I'm more so they do tend to, all I have to give is that tiny brief description, and they're just like, oh, yep, that's me. So they call themselves out. Like, and I also usually work with pretty self-aware women. Like, they've already been in the self-help space. They're usually already on their healing journey. Like, I quotation mark that now, because It is what it is. But yeah, they are usually self-aware enough to like, at least I know my patterns, and oh
Yep.
my gosh, you just said them out loud.
Right? And you may be avoidant if you just don't even see yourself in any of those three, correct?
Absolutely. The avoidant might not even be on the call with me.
Right? Exactly.
They canceled the appointment last minute.
So why do you think times of crisis really amplifies this attachment wound or style?
So our attachment wounding definitely becomes exacerbated in times of stress. So the avoidant need for space, if you are like extremely stressed, and that may mean the world is on fire like it is right now, or that may mean your car just broke down and your bank account is in the red. Like
Right.
whatever
Yep.
that stress is. Like if you're an avoidant, it's probably going to send you more into avoidance. If you are anxious, it's really an amplifier of what you're already dealing with. So when we're in times like right now where we're watching, like we've never been privy to watch so much in history. And so
Yeah.
we are seeing, and it's not like horrible things haven't always happened, because they've always been happening. But now we're watching them, and as we soak that in, and our body becomes stressed and in like a survival mode, like the triggered, like just below boiling point. That's the thing, is it's putting you just below boiling point. And if you're right there and you hit and something bumps it up just 1 degree and you start boiling, it's going to go into whatever your favorite little pattern is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are some signs that maybe their attachment pattern is just kind of running the show?
Oh, yes. Okay. So if you are if your partner says, or anyone, this could be a friend too, but if just for example, if your partner says, I need some alone time, and you go into, oh no, he's tired of me. I must have done something wrong. Like there's something he's not telling me. Then that is a sign you've dropped into your anxious.
Yeah.
If you are like telling yourself things, like becoming aware of your thoughts, if you're telling yourself things that are not based in fact, and I'm not saying they can't be true, but like you're kind of making up stories of like, okay, let me go through what happened today to think back. I must have said something or done something that is pushing him away, that he needs it. Space does not feel safe. Okay. So that's the big thing with the avoidant. The space doesn't feel safe, so they tend to be less independent. And so if you find yourself there, your anxious attachment is coming up. Now, if you find yourself avoiding all difficult conversations and avoiding asking for your needs to be met, you know, I'm trying to think what other, like mainly avoidant is usually those. They're not actually like they're overthinking a tiny bit, but for the most part, they're dissociating.
Right.
The anxious is going to be the overthinker. The avoidant is the dissociator.
Yep. Yep.
And then the disorganized, which is mostly me and mostly my people, toggles back and forth. I've overthought for the last 2 hours, so I'm just going to dissociate now because I can't. I can't sleep. I can't think. I can barely eat.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so those are the patterns coming up when you notice yourself really overthinking, making up the stories, or completely avoiding. Now, space is a good thing. So sometimes that avoidance, I have to kind of work with my clients on developing a healthy relationship with the space that is necessary to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I said healthy relationship twice, but we have to have a good relationship with the alone time. Like it's healthy for my partner to have it. It's healthy for me to have it, especially if we just started to have a blow up and one of us is like, I need some space. That is healthy.
Right.
Now, if he doesn't say I need some space and just leaves and doesn't tell you where he's going and you don't know if he's coming back, not healthy.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the avoidant. But now if you're like, hey, we just like, so I don't continue to say cruel words, I need space, super healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super healthy.
So how do you teach people to live with their attachment style and be able to manage because there is good in that. You already mentioned some of those things, right? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. So, can you give that to me one more time? Say that again, because I heard it, but say that one more time to me.
Okay, so you shared a little bit about some of those things can be healthy, right?
Yes.
So how can you help someone who is stuck in whatever the trauma piece of that attachment piece, and that's their go-to, right? So how do you help them cope through what they got, right? Good, bad, the ugly, and help turn them into a good, healthy, positive way to cope.
The best work we do is in the heat of the moment when they are in the spin out, which is also why I just created that little ebook I made we can talk about later. But like, that is why I created that, because in the moment is when we shift those things. It's not here in therapy chairs, right?
Right.
Like, we can talk about stuff all day, but if we're not implementing it in real time, it's not actually helping. Right. And so there's a combination of give yourself a lot of grace and compassion, because you're human and you're always gonna mess up. You're never gonna arrive at some place where I never get triggered by anything. That's not good. You must be dead. You know,
right.
like,
exactly.
That's not good. I still want you to feel things, like.
Yeah, there's something to be said about passion and, all those different things that are driving at that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you like a little chaos, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But like, I want it to be chaos that's not destroying you inside.
Yeah.
You can have that sexy little push-pull dynamic without it tearing you to pieces.
Yeah.
And so I get to help them, number one, and a lot of my clients especially in their childhood, it was not okay for them to be children. Yeah. It was not okay for them to be human. Yeah. You're to be seen and not heard, Yep.
Yeah.
Don't mess up anything in this house, like, just don't play, don't be loud, like, don't. And right. So, or like, your emotions are too much to deal with. They don't want, you weren't allowed to maybe bring your emotions to your parents because their emotions were going wild and they didn't know how to handle their own. So of course they don't, didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And it's a learned skill. And I think one of the problems is that we have this idea that, like, either we have it or we don't, and if we don't, we're just not good enough, there's something wrong with us. But really, it's a learned skill, and if your parents didn't have the skill, then of course they couldn't pass it down to you.
Absolutely. And so you can't do anything about what happened, right? You can't go back in time, you can't rewind the tape. Yeah. For those of you who are a little bit, we used to have these VCRs and we put it where you want. Anyway, so you can't rewind the tape and play it over again. Yeah. But you can do, like, today, okay, this is who I am. This is, my emotions are not too much, right? Yes. Like, it's okay for me to feel what I feel and my emotions. And so I just have to deal with it in a healthy manner.
Yes. And that's my favorite part, is teaching them that what they've really been avoiding, they think they're avoiding conversations. They think they're avoiding awkward. They think they're avoiding the other person's anger. But what they're really avoiding is how they feel during those things. Yep. And if I can teach them to sit with their feelings, and I actually have this visualization. I'm working on recording it. It doesn't exist yet. But I have this visualization that I take my clients through where they're standing in a river on a beautiful day. It's just... like, it's a stream, not a river. Don't get scared. Like, it's a beautiful stream. It's like crystal clear water. You can see all the way to the bottom. It's just cool enough to feel really refreshing. The birds are singing, sun shining. And then all of a sudden you see this like pretty significant size pile of leaves floating on the top of the water coming right towards you. And you're like, oh, like, dang it, it's going to ruin my perfect experience of this river, right?
Right.
We don't want these leaves to touch us. As they come to us, if we can allow, instead of fighting, trying to run away or whatever it is, or, like, you know what, I'm done with this whole stream. I'm leaving because this thing is nasty because of these leaves. I'm out of
Right.
here.
Yep.
But instead, if we can allow the leaves to come and allow them to go just as quickly as they came,
Mm-hmm.
instead of allowing those leaves to control us and dictate our decisions and actions, we can simply allow them to pass. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't honor those feelings later when we've got our head back straight.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And that's I actually call that the difference between like a flooded rage or flooded anger versus a sacred rage. So the flooded rage, when you're like, oh, like, I can't believe he just said that.
Yep.
Like it hurt. You felt it in your chest, or like a gut punch, like you felt it. And it's valid. And at the same time, if you act right now in the middle of that, your behavior is not going to get you the best results.
Right.
But if instead you allow that to pass, and then you can say, hey, that anger was valid. I'm not going to act from it, but I will act from a place of knowing that that anger is valid and go handle it when I am grounded.
Yep.
Instead of when I'm raging out.
That is, now I am totally a visual learner, and like I have to see it to experience it. And so like that is so good because it's such a clear visual.
Yeah, and I learned something years ago where like the physical feeling in the body that we get when we have an emotion that comes up, like the one that makes us need to cry. So if you feel something and you like literally you can feel your body light up from what just happened, you need to cry, it's this overwhelming feeling. The physical feeling in the body only can last for up to 90 seconds unless the brain ruminates and keeps it going.
Yep.
And so another thing that I teach my clients another thing that's avoidant, that could be seen as avoidant, but can be used in a healthy way, is to distract yourself. Sometimes the best thing for the brain is a distraction.
Yep.
Like if your child is losing their mind over having to put their jacket on and it's 20 degrees out,
Yeah, exactly. That happens all the time, doesn't it?
Right. And so, like I totally forgot where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought.
You got to have like that something to distract your mind, right?
The best thing to do is distract them in some way and get that jacket on at some point. We got to get that jacket on, but the best thing is distract, like giving a baby a shot. That the best of doctors will distract the child.
Yeah.
Before they get the shot. But otherwise, they're looking at it like, ah.
Right, exactly. So like, singing I'm a Little Teapot, like in the middle of this whole tantrum is like, whoa, that was not expected, right? Hold up.
Yes. And so, but that way we're not ruminating, because the rumination is going to make everything worse. And so if you can distract, come back to the grounded state, and then handle your business. And it seems simple, but in that moment, when you're flooded with emotion, your brain is like, I need to think through everything. I need to come up with every scenario that could happen after this. And work through everything, every contingency plan. I'm never getting another relationship after this. You're already thinking about leaving the person you've been with for 10 years.
Right.
Yep. Like already. And it's like, well, hold on a second. And so one of the things I tell my clients is, when you're in that flooded state, your job is not to come up with solutions. That's your brain's favorite thing to latch onto, is let me come up with solutions. Mm-hmm. But it's not, you cannot think clearly in that space. Even though you feel like you are.
Right.
You're like, oh, I'm crystal clear.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm clear.
Right,
baby.
yeah. Exactly.
But really, in that moment, I tell them, your job is not to find a solution right now. Clear-headed you will think of one later if you need one. I promise you she will. Yeah. But for now, your only job is to calm your tits.
Right, yeah, exactly. So do you give them homework and so that they're aware of those things, and then bring them back and say, okay, this is how I dealt with it. This is like maybe not as great as I should have, or let's
Yeah.
celebrate the victories.
Both, absolutely, yes. All of
Love
all
that.
the above. My one-on-one clients get to text me in the midst of it, so I already know how they handled it because I'm in it with them. I'm in the trenches, you know. I'm in the river, in the leaves with them, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
um,
That's good.
yeah, that's where
I
the
think that
most
we
change
need that,
happens.
especially in the beginning when we're learning, and it's so easy to slip back into old patterns, right? It's and so to have somebody to be there that's be to be your guide to kind of walk you through in the moment. Fantastic.
Is such a game changer. And like, my other containers are super powerful, but there is nothing as powerful as me being like, girl, do not send the 10th text message.
Right?
Nothing is
Yeah,
powerful.
exactly.
Like, nothing is as powerful as rewiring it right in the moment. Because what
Yeah.
we're doing every time you behave in a way that you've never behaved before in that situation, you have
Yep.
literally physically built a new brain pathway. A physical brain pathway builds in your brain when
Yep.
you take a different action. And the
Yeah.
more we do that, the easier it is for them to be like, I don't have to do what I've always done.
Yep. I
And
love that.
eventually, it doesn't take that long. Eventually, it starts coming naturally to them, and they don't even have to think, what should I do?
Yeah.
And that's, oh, I soak that up.
So powerful. That's so powerful for you, not only you, but the person's experiencing that, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I've had these tools all along, but they've been stuck in my toolbox. I had no idea how to use them. And
Stuck in the
thank you for
toolbox.
letting me, target right in there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's such a game changer to be able to rewire those in the moment. It really is.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So you teach that we build an internal security system. What exactly does that look like?
So, I love talking about secure attachment. I can talk all day about the insecure attachment styles. But one of my, to me, this is one of the biggest tools that I offer my clients. So listen up. This is
Yeah.
it. This question right here, and this is where we start to build the new brain pathways. This is still in the building process. Nothing's coming naturally yet. But when you're in the spin out, so when you notice your brain spinning out, you're angry, you're anxious, whatever it is, and you're trying to come up with all these solutions and all the things, when you notice you're in that spin out, if you can ask yourself, instead of acting, because normally if I'm in that, I'm going to do whatever I can do to get out of this emotion.
Yep.
So if it's anxiety, I'm going to go ask for reassurance, or if it's anger, I'm going to go let them have it, because
Yep.
right now I'm bottling it and I want to let it out. Whatever it is, I need to take action to get this feeling out of my body. And in that moment, if you can ask yourself, if I was totally secure and I assumed that the best possible outcome is what's going to be coming my way in this situation,
Yep.
how would I act right now?
No, that's good.
What would I think? And then take action from that place instead. And when I say that worked wonders for me in my life, like I remember I was driving in my car the first time I was able to do that with myself.
That's
I'm
awesome.
driving in my car and some shit's going down and I want to do the anxious thing. I want to be like, are you mad at me? Talk to me. I'm going to show up at your house. Like if you don't take me back, I'm coming,
Yep.
I want, and at the same time, the avoidant part, because the disorganized is the push pull. At the same time, I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm never talking to you again. I'd rather leave.
Yep.
I'm going to leave before you can reject me. All
Yeah.
that's going on. And I would normally act from one of those. A lot of times I'll send the anxious text, immediately regret it, and be like, I'm going to block him before he can even respond.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
toggling between the two. And I started to ask myself, girl, if you assumed the best, if you could assume that the reason he hasn't texted you all day is because he's busy, because he's been at work all day, girl, come on.
Yeah.
Like, If I can assume that he has been busy all day and that he loves me and that he's tired and he just hasn't had the opportunity, how would I respond right now? I wouldn't text him at all. I sure wouldn't drive to his house.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
probably go get some work done or make some food, you know?
Right.
Like, if I'm
Exactly.
secure,
Exactly.
if I'm secure, that's how I behave. And as I started to take action from that secure place, turns out my relationship stopped blowing up.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And I was doing it before I felt secure. Now, I'm having to talk myself into, if you felt secure, how would you act, right? So I wasn't feeling secure when I first started that, obviously.
Right?
But the more I did that and the more so after I act from the secure place, when the good results come from that, my brain builds the evidence that it's good
Yeah. Yeah.
to be secure and act in that way.
And
And
it builds
so,
those brain neurons like you were talking about, right? The
yes,
first time you do that, little healing happens.
yes,
Second time you do that, more healing happens, and pretty
yes,
soon that is just like I just am secure in my relationships,
yep,
and so it just flows. I
and it
figure
does.
that if he's not, then obviously something else is going on. It has nothing to do with my own anxiety.
Assume the best. And you know what? You could, this secure version could be wrong. He may be mad at you. But
Right?
I promise you, texting him 10 times and showing up at his door is not going to make it better, baby.
Right? No. 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 Keying his car, none of those
Oh,
work.
right. Calling his best friend, like, it's not, no, girl, don't do it.
Let's
And
save the
so,
paint, people.
and I can't tell you how many times I sabotaged because I was scared that they were upset, and then I
Yeah.
would do something that would cause the problem I was scared of in the very beginning.
Yep. Yep.
And so if I act from this secure place, I'm also allowing my partner to step into being secure and be like, I'll communicate something if I need to, but I don't have to pressure my partner
Yeah.
to speak to me because I'm not sitting here like, what's wrong? Why are you quiet? Like we can sit in healthy quiet now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know?
think a beautiful thing happens right when you are able to let your guard down and know, okay, and come from a secure place.
Yes.
Then it allows for a secure place for him to let his guard down as well, and so
Yes.
that you can come together in the midst of that.
Yes. If like, especially with the anxious, because a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
clients tend to toggle more, into the like, don't leave me. And when we are in that mode, we push everyone away.
Yep.
And we don't mean to. And like it's when we need people the most that we
Sure.
push them away from that place. And I have so much compassion for it. And I'm like, you don't have to keep living there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't. Like it's hell to live in that. Like it is a constant war going on in your own mind.
Yeah. Yep.
And it feels like there's no way out of it. You've never known another way. Likely you had at least one hot and cold parent.
Yep. Yep.
And so this has been building in your brain since you were a child. And most of, like, so many people just don't, they're like, it's just who I am.
Right.
When in
Right.
reality, it's a brain pattern that we can rebuild just like a muscle.
That's right. It's like you've lived in the sludge all this time, right? So if you're living in sludge, if you step in sludge, what happens? It sticks all over you and it's kind of covers you, right?
Yeah.
But that's not who you are. It's the sludge that's attached to you. So, like, jump over to the clean water, sister. The water's
Yes.
fine, right?
Yes. Let that stream wash over you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So good.
Absolutely. So, is there any way that we can talk about some of this attachment stuff with those that we love without like being super heavy and like, kind of a downer bummer kind of thing?
So, yes. And that is something I actually do an entire, like this, that's such a good question that I want to say that like in my Secure Attachment Blueprint course, there's a whole month that we go over the love language of the attachment styles and how to love your people when they're in it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
So
amazing.
like most people who are taking the class are in the anxious or disorganized, right? Again, the avoidant didn't show up to the call, like it's usually the
Exactly.
disorganized or the anxious. And so yeah, and usually the anxious, the disorganized really wants to like, let's talk about it. Let's,
Yeah.
essentially till we're beating a dead horse,
Right. Yeah.
until I
Yeah.
feel better. And joke's on you, you're never going to feel better if you don't rewire this stuff. There's no amount of reassurance that's going to make you feel reassured,
Yeah. True.
Um, where was I going with that? Oh,
You're talking about the avoidants usually don't come. So how can you, like,
yeah.
you are educating the avoidant
Communicating.
though through
Yes.
the other two styles because they're learning about themselves and they in turn are able to go back and like help, their partners.
Yes. So keeping it light. So especially if your person that you are trying to love is leaning into the avoidance, then it is important to keep it light. And if you can, and this is what I teach my clients in a very unorthodox way, is to be able to like laugh at certain things. So me and my partner are able to laugh now at our things, and like I would joke about it in the beginning, like you're avoidant ass,
Right,
like
yeah, yeah,
it's like stuff like that, and everybody knows what avoidant means. You don't have to know that it's the avoidant attachment style.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And
yeah.
so like, and he knows, it's not like he doesn't know he avoids shit,
Right, yeah, exactly.
But so like keeping it light, not making it something where it's like, I'm going to start this conversation and we've got to get to some resolution by the end of this conversation.
Yeah.
But just like building awareness. But one of the love languages, like that space, that healthy space, allowing your avoidant to take their space and at the same time encouraging, I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like, because part of how we screw up with the avoidant is to push, 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 talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
Yeah.
And that is pushing them farther and farther and farther away. The more texts you send, the longer it's going to take for them to text back.
Yeah, they're out there with their brick and mortar building that wall, right?
Absolutely. Every text is another brick, another wheelbarrow
exactly.
full of bricks. Like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Exactly.
And if it's somebody who is anxious, it's all in the delivery. It's all in the delivery, and that's a big thing that I teach is how to communicate certain things, and that's in the decoder as well. Is like how to say certain things. And with the anxious, there does need to be a certain amount of understanding that they need the reassurance, and also encouraging them on things like, you get to take your space as well, Miss Anxious.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Exactly.
Take that space. But we all need that level of understanding for where our patterns are, love where we're at, and we may not ever stop having those patterns come up, those tendencies, the desires to act from that place. They may always be around to some degree. And really, again, just balancing you're a human and we're flawed and we're complex and that's okay. And let's try to make sure we're not being harmful to one another.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, you can become aware of that, right? That this is my tendency, and you can go, oh, okay. Even in hindsight sometimes, you can go back to your partner and go, okay, I know. I was avoidant. You didn't see me for like 6 hours. I went to the lake.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you where I was going. I just left.
Yes.
Sorry, can we talk that out? Right? Like,
Yes.
it's about knowing you and knowing yourself and knowing how to relate to your partner. You're going to make mistakes. We're human. And so, like, it's about coming back and going, okay, here we go. I know I screwed up. Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, it's about knowing what parts of your tendencies are exacerbators of their tendencies.
Yeah.
And trying to find balance between the two. Because yes, if you're anxious, you do deserve reassurance, and it is not the other person's full responsibility to make sure that you're secure in yourself.
Right. Scandalous right there.
Right, right. And at the same time, on the flip side, anxious, it is not your responsibility to push the avoidant into communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got to let them. We've got to let them. now,
Yeah,
now there's a
absolutely.
certain point where it gets too toxic and you need to leave. No shame.
Right.
It's okay to leave if they're so avoidant that they can never have a conversation with you
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
about
sense.
things that matter.
So that leads us into the next question, right? You said you help women up level the relationships. What does up leveling look like? And especially when their world feels like they're crumbling.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So most of my people come to me feeling like they're at their wits' end. They've tried everything under the sun. Nothing has worked. They don't know why they're still in their patterns. Most of them are already in a partnership of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, I love this person and I don't want it to be toxic, but it's been pretty toxic. So help us. That's
Yeah,
usually how they
absolutely.
come. Um, and, it's to be able to like grow together and lean on one another and have these difficult conversations. um it's the whole thing has to be rewired from the ground up, but it ends up, I kind of encourage it to be like an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to relearn your partner. Like
Yeah.
you get to relearn and up leveling in that, like as we relearn our partner, we get to up level and be like, this is not the same person that I started dating
Yep.
5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
And so up leveling means now we can joke about things that used to bother us.
Yeah.
Now, things that really used to trigger us, it just doesn't anymore. We can work through it. Things that, used to send you guys into a spin out, like you can handle it like a team now. It also usually means better sex, more fun, more laughter, just more play, more
Everybody
peace.
needs the more of that.
Yes. Oh my God. And really more freedom too. Like more freedom to be yourself.
Right.
Because part of it is like them thinking that when you think that the attachment pattern is who you are, you try to hide it. And
Mm-hmm.
so you feel like you're hiding who you are.
Right. Right.
But as you work on it and simultaneously balance that with acceptance of I'm just a human,
yeah.
it up levels the whole thing where you both feel like you can be yourselves, be loved for it. And like if the other person snaps at you, you're like, they must be having a bad day. Not, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. They're unhappy. They might leave me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it
Exactly.
escalates that quickly sometimes.
Truly.
Yes.
Truly.
Yes. And so we get to laugh. Like one of the things that I had, one of my clients in the last round of the Secure Attachment Blueprint, she is able to, like, she likes roasts. She likes a good roast. Okay, like not the roast you eat, like the roast when
Right.
you're just dogging on somebody,
Yep. Yeah.
And she likes to, like, she can joke about her husband and he'll laugh. But
Mm-hmm.
if he jokes and kind of roasts her, it hurts. She's going to get upset. She's going to get triggered. She's going to react poorly.
Right.
And so her homework, because again, this is all trial and error because each person is different. Her homework at one point was, you need to start letting your husband roast you, and I encourage you to figure out how to laugh when he
Right.
does.
Good. Yes.
Like, and now ease in now. Don't hit her worst insecurity right in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't go below the belt immediately, okay? Like, take
Yeah.
it easy, one step at a time. But to be able to laugh at our humanity is
Mm-hmm.
humongous. My current partner I've known this dude for 10 years now, but for the last 2, we have been together. And he has helped me so much to be able to laugh at myself rather than judge myself. If I can laugh at the things I used to judge, like what a simple topic of that, a simple example is, I don't like my fingers. I've got my daddy's stubby fingers. Okay.
Ooh, same.
Oh, okay. And I've always hated them. I'm like, I don't have pretty hands. You know, like
Yes,
a lot of times I'll hide them. Like I don't, like I don't love my fingers. And he said something about, I don't even remember what he called my finger. Or something like, move your fat ass finger or something like that. And I was just like, I initially felt like, and then I was like,
Yeah.
but
Right?
it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny. And we can dog on each other about other things, so why can't we? And then we turn it into like my case of extreme gigantism, with my
Right,
fingers,
yeah.
like ridiculous. But I'm now able to like laugh at this stuff that used to would have made me feel ashamed.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then that can bring that balance in of the part where I'm still a human and I'm always going to screw up. And there's always going to be times when I say something out of pocket and need to apologize.
Yeah.
It's part of who we are. And at the same time, I can do better than I used to could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's a balance.
It's just such a growth journey. Life,
So much.
right? Yeah.
So much. My goodness.
So, you have a new mastermind.
I
Tell me,
do.
can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so my mastermind has been running, this is the 5th year
Woo.
of my mastermind.
Yeah.
So it's both new and tried and true.
Okay.
So the new rendition is called Wild, Wanted, and Worthy.
Oh, can you say that again? That's amazing.
Right? Like I'm so excited about it. Wild, Wanted, and Worthy.
Love that.
And that is because we're wild women. Like we are, I want us to show it. Like it's in there, I want you to release it and be it and stop making yourself small. And I want you to feel wanted. I want you to feel in demand. And I also want you to deeply know how worthy you are of experiencing those first two things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And living a life that makes you happy and feel fulfilled and at peace and free and all these things. And so when I say this mastermind has made me grow, has brought me growth in ways nothing else ever has, and I'm the leader, like it's brought me so much change, so much growth, because the community is such an up leveler. Like just being in that community of women who are doing the work, who are wanting to break their patterns. They're not showing up with like, I'm going to be a victim for, like I was a victim and so I'm just going to be that for the rest of my life. No, they're like, terrible shit happened and now I'm ready to rock this shit and not let it affect my life anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in that space, my ladies, I've got one lady that she has 10 grandkids and just went back to school for a different degree.
Good for her.
Never
That's
thought
amazing.
she never thought she could do college good enough to get a bachelor's degree, and she's out here making great grades. I have by the way, she's also having amazing sex, like the best sex of her life. When I said she's got grandchildren, and she's having the best sex of her life. She's going to concerts. She's having a great time with her hubby. Like, oh my goodness. And like so many of my clients, their relationships finally come out of the toxic turmoil and can finally be like, sure, we had a disagreement, but we worked through it as a team, and honestly it brought us closer.
That's great.
Or like I said earlier, like my partner might have said something that hurt me in the moment, but I know that it's because he had a terrible day, and it doesn't mean that I did something wrong or I deserve to be talked to like that.
Yeah.
It also just means he's a human and he was at boiling point when he got here. It also doesn't mean he's a horrible, toxic person either.
Yeah.
And so,
and I think that, breaking down those walls, you're right, it creates such incredible intimacy. So it's no longer just sex, but it's like this deep, fulfilling connection that you're able to have with one another, because there's really nothing, you're not trying to paint the ceiling, you're not thinking about your next nail polish appointment, right? Because, or like, okay, am I doing okay? Is this all right? Is it like, because your relationship is on such a different level on the day to day,
Yep.
that, the intimacy can be a lot deeper.
Absolutely. And it is. Like, it is. I can't think of one client who their sex life did not benefit.
Yeah,
Isn't it
yeah,
weird?
exactly.
Whether they're living the single life and dating and now have really strong boundaries and don't accept anything less than the standards they hold.
Yep.
Like I've got one client that has a roster of men in her life, each one providing her with a different need being met, and
Yeah.
like I'm just like, get it, girl, whatever
Yeah.
makes you happy,
Right, yeah, yeah.
like no matter what it looks like for them, they end up thriving. They end up with a fantastic relationship with themselves, and with others if they want it. And they like, to me, intimacy is the final boss of the healing journey,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we can sit here in a therapy chair all day, we can unpack everything, but until you're in that situation you've been scared of your whole life
Yeah.
and stick with it,
Yeah,
and get there,
exactly.
then what was it for anyway? What was the therapy for anyway if you're not creating the kind of relationships in life that you want? And maybe it's a secret want. Like for me, I wanted to hide the fact that I was a hopeless romantic. Like I wanted the
Yeah.
romance things, but I was also like, puh, romance is stupid.
Right?
Is anybody gonna romance me after I said that all day? Come on, girl. Come on.
Exactly. Well, and I think romance looks different for everybody, right? And so it's when you get to know your partner on a deeper level that you're able to, they're able to know what that looks like for you. They're able to know what
Absolutely.
romance looks like. They are able to know, are you a let me touch your feet versus let me
Yeah.
bring you flowers, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
because you're able to be open and honest with one another.
Yes. And sometimes romance means knowing exactly what to say when the other person is anxious
Yep.
or avoidant or
Yeah,
having the entire inner
absolutely.
battle.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
this world's not calming down anytime soon, right? So what's your encouragement for women trying to build love, security, and connection?
Mm. Oh, so many things, so many things. No, you know, we have this idea. I want to say work on your self-worth. If you want your relationships to be healthy, your relationship with yourself has to be healthy. Now, I also want to say though, that doesn't mean you need to heal before you can enter any sort of relationship. No, because relationships are where we really heal.
Yeah.
So work on the relationship that you have with yourself so that you don't accept less than you deserve,
Yep.
right? Um, and also that too means I'm so secure that when I am getting less than I deserve, I'm not taking it personally,
Yeah.
right? Like
Absolutely.
that worthiness needs to come up. And a lot of that comes in from really truly starting to love on ourselves, even when we don't feel love for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So starting to really love on yourself, do things that are just nurturing to your soul and for no other reason but that.
Yep.
Fill your cup up and stand in your worth, and that makes relationships healthy when you are in that place. Because no matter if I even got with, if I was with somebody who was raging toxic, number one, I won't be, I'm leaving. But like,
Right.
if I
Yeah.
was, what you're not going to do is destroy how I feel about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, it's going to be healthy because I'm healthy, period, because I know my worth. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to make sure that my needs get met within reason,
Right.
I'm going to make sure
Right.
they get met.
But I think
Um,
sometimes you attract what you put out, right? So I think that if you are healthy and you are setting boundaries and you love yourself, like that attracts something totally different than if you're acting in your anxiety ridden self, right?
so
Like all
much
the
so.
time.
Absolutely. Because if you're just sitting there with the anxiety and I want to be loved, I want to be loved, like I read a quote, I don't remember who it was from, that was like, when you're not served love from a spoon, you learn to lick it off of a knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you need to serve yourself love with the spoon
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
So good. So let's talk some practicality pieces, right? So, what do you say to that woman who's listening and is like, "Ooh, this masterclass was really good"? How can we'll put your information in the description, but tell me a little bit about, like, do you run it every 6 weeks? Is it something that someone can join anytime? Tell me a little bit the practical pieces of those.
Yeah, so my mastermind is a 9-month program. I did a rolling enrollment 1 year and I hated it. So I did
Mm-hmm.
not go back to that. So right now the doors are open, but they're only open for like either another week or two.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this, you've still got time, message me. You've still got time.
All right.
But yeah, so we go for 9 months. We have like this opening celebration call and have the whole community inside the mastermind. We have like weekly pod calls with your little pod of no more than 5 people. I do master classes every month inside the mastermind, as well as embodiment calls. And the embodiment call is one of those I'm helping you to rewire in the moment. We're actually living the topic instead of just reading it and talking about it.
Yeah.
And I love those. Those I feel like really elevate the whole experience. And that's 9 months of just it's super powerful to have that community. And one of the things I don't like about the rolling enrollment is it doesn't feel like that community of we're here together. This is
Yeah.
like it creates a bond in that way, where people make lifelong friendships in my mastermind. Like so
Absolutely.
many beautiful friendships have come out of that group. I also have the secure attachment blueprint that I'm probably going to be running live once a year, and that's a 4-month course. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the one where I teach the attachment styles, and I also teach the love languages of each attachment style, as well as things like the intimacy and vulnerability. Pleasure, play, and laughter is another one of the modules there. The self-worth, self-compassion, and self-trust is another. So all that kind of stuff we're building in the secure attachment blueprint. Super powerful little course.
Yeah.
And there's also an evergreen version of that now available. So, because it's been run live all the way through, we've got all the modules and a beautiful 125-page workbook with all the journal prompts your little heart could ever want inside
I
this
love
workbook.
that.
Um, and then on top of that, I have, of course, my one-on-one, which is usually we do a 6 month. I've had some people ask to go ahead and sign up for a year to help hold them accountable to continue doing the work. But otherwise, it's usually a 6 month. Yeah.
And people
Uh,
can sign up for the one-on-one at any time.
Absolutely. Talk to me. And if it's not like, if I'm not full in my one-to-one, which I do currently have a couple spots. So
Yep.
if I'm not full on my one-to-one, yes, anytime you can join. And
One of the
that,
things that I love is that you're so passionate about what you're doing. You're so passionate about helping others that when they come alongside and they're like, okay, look, right now I'm going through a financial crisis. Can I make payments? Like, you will work with them. Not that that means you are giving away your stuff for free, because you are not. However, you are willing to work with whatever that looks like for you. So if you are sitting here and you're listening to Amanda and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be amazing, but my husband just left me. I'm stuck with these kids. I have no money, but I really need to hear what she has to say.
yeah,
Don't let that stop you. Like,
don't
Amanda
let,
will work with you. She'll figure it out.
absolutely. And I've had people come to me and be like, I felt like it was an insult to ask. And I'm like, girl, no. Like, if you want the products that I offer, the services that I offer, and you can't afford the price that's listed, hop in my DMs.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up rich. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still not rich, you know, like
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
out here. And it's also arguably harder times than ever economically, especially in the country we live in. And so come over here, ask me. I love giving, partial scholarships full when I can, but partial scholarships as well as extended payment plans, because it should not be a luxury.
Yeah.
Mental health support and support through rewiring these patterns honestly should have been taught like our schooling should be some of that, like
Yes.
that should be what we're taught is the emotional, how to handle things better.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a luxury, but while we're living in a world that it is, I can still work within a budget. Like I've got girls in the mastermind that are making $100 payments, and they're just making them, after they're like they're just making them. It just is what it is.
Yep.
If you want in and you're showing that effort to, like, even if it's a small amount, I've had some people do bi-weekly $50 payments, and like, can I pause this month? Like my dog needs to go to the vet and I'm freaking out, like whatever it is, like talk to me. It's not an insult to come say,
No.
I don't have the money and I want what you got. Come to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to close out by what I like to call a rapid fire question. So I'm going to ask these questions and I want you off the top of your head just to answer.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let me get my list.
Love it.
Okay. What's your go-to comfort food that when life feels crazy?
Oh, sushi every time. Salmon. Give me raw salmon every day.
Ooh, yum. What's one song that instantly shifts your mood?
Okay. It's really obscure. Okay. It's called Drift Like a Cloud and Flow Like Water.
Oh.
It's on Spotify. Look that shit up. It is also something I use for my clients in the embodiment calls to pull them back to feeling good. It's got this quote at the beginning talking about how all of life is a just incredible illusion and there's nothing to be afraid of. And it's just such a peaceful thing. So yeah, drift like a cloud and flow like water.
Love that. Morning person, night owl?
Well, usually a morning person, but I'm kind of starting to become a night owl now. I've shifted. I used to be type A, now I'm type B, staying up at night. I don't know.
I love that. One book you recommend to everyone about healing or self-growth?
Existential Kink, because if you haven't read it, you're still enjoying your own suffering and not realizing it yet. So you think you're not enjoying it. So you're suffering and you're suffering instead of enjoying it.
Okay, say that title again, just in case somebody didn't catch it.
Existential Kink
Love
is the
that.
name of the book. Read it. It will change your life.
Ooh, I'm putting that on my list.
Yes.
When you're feeling totally overwhelmed, what's the first thing you do to ground yourself?
It depends on the overwhelm. If I have to take action right then, I'm going to put on the song. If I don't have to take the action right then, honestly, a nap or an orgasm is going to reset me before I have to handle it.
I love that. Okay. So what's one thing you're currently obsessed with? A hobby, a show, something like that?
What a good question. And I don't know. What am I obsessed with? Honestly, right now, I've been obsessed with my business. Like, I'm obsessed with growing that is my hobby.
Yep.
As well as my work, as well as my passion. That is what I'm obsessed with.
I love that. My youngest told me the other day, he's like, you really like working on your business. Like, you do it all the time. I'm like,
yes.
I know, I love it. It's great.
Right? That's the only kind of business I want to work in. Now, you know what? I can also say I'm pretty obsessed with my dog, Lucy. I'm pretty obsessed with her.
Oh, I love that.
I think she's a perfect specimen.
No, mine is too. All right,
so, like, so biased.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice about relationships, what would it be?
Oh, God. She needs to hear so much. Honestly, it would be trust yourself, but not when you're flooded with emotion.
I love that.
Trust yourself, though. Yeah.
Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Mountain every time.
I know. I love the mountains. There's just something soothing about that.
So good. So good.
Favorite quote or mantra you come back to when things get hard?
This is temporary. As simple as it is, I always tell myself, this is temporary. Don't make permanent decisions in a temporary circumstance.
Love that. Okay, what's one thing that you're really, really proud of right now?
My business. I'm proud of my business, and I'm proud of the fact that I've actually embodied the work, that I actually was where my clients are, and I can bring them to where I'm at. And it's actually, sometimes it still blows my mind that it works. Like, I know it works.
Yeah.
And then when I watch it working, I'm like, oh my God. It was working. Like, I can't, when you first start something, you're like, I feel like a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fumbling around. And now I'm just like, oh my God, it's working, everybody. It's working. It's amazing.
I love that so much. So thank you so much for coming. I know that there's so much rich stuff that you had to say, and I'm sure this is going to be one of those episodes that women are going to have to rewind, watch again. Okay, wait, I got to see. Wait, I resonate with that so much. Okay, oh, I resonated with that so much too. Okay, let's look back, right? Yeah. I will have to have you on again in 6 months or so, and just kind of catch up and see how things are going, and see. You have so much good information to share, so I appreciate it so much.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.